seem to have any behavior that. They don't harm they don't harm other people. But this narrow window of, for lack of better terms, of legitimate shooters tend to go into these chat rooms, tend to go, play Call of Duty, whatever you might want to go to, that's very violent. They start talking in chat rooms about, isn't it cool, you scored X, I scored Y, what it would be like to actually kill another person. And, those are inappropriate conversations, probably some folks that, aren't serious about what they're saying. But these mass shooters are. And so what happens is they lose track of what is real and what is fake. And the violence in those games sort of fuses their personality. And then violence is really the answer for them. And so they decide at some point they're going to commit a mass shooting. Keep in mind, most of these mass shooters, I think this holds true in Highland Park, a lot of isolation, a lot of time online, which further distorts your thinking. So I don't want to also overemphasize that video games and going online turn you into a violent person. But I do want to be clear that it does facilitate folks that are so inclined to commit a mass shooting.
Well, I guess that's my follow-up question. These online games, these Discord forums where people talk about the online games. I'm going to throw in the online communities where people like to talk about firearms as well. Is it that it's not inherent in the thing that it's going to make somebody a killer? It's that if the wrong person with certain predispositions gets in there, it's going to activate or amplify the proclivities they already have inside them.
That is correct. It's kind of like when you go to a movie and you watch Top Gun, and you watch some movie that's got violence in it. It's entertainment to you and I, and obviously the masses. But it's not entertainment, some of those things, to somebody who's thinking about harming others. Now, you have to throw in some other variables here, because people who go up this violent route of mass shooting, they feel isolated, they feel alone, they feel like they don't get any attention, they're angry at the world, sometimes they're angry at specific things. We still don't know this about Highland Park. What was the hot button issue as to why he picked Highland Park? And maybe we'll hear that down the road. But the point being, it represented something to him. And by going there and annihilating people, he feels like, it was just the right thing to do. And keep in mind, you'd have to have no emotions, no feelings. And from his vantage point, he's not actually shooting human beings. He's shooting people that he's angry with, collectively. Obviously, he doesn't know anybody that he's shooting. All this is totally irrational. But that's what goes on in the minds of these shooters.
So speak for a minute or two about this. Sometimes people, they commit a terrible act of violence, and then they either kill themselves or they die in a confrontation with law enforcement, and usually they're instigating the use of the deadly force on the part of the cops. So here, this is the kind of person who did this despicable thing and then took off and drove around, apparently, according to his own words, thought about maybe doing something like that again in Madison. And when he was confronted by law enforcement, it appears he basically complied and he was taken into custody without incident. So my question is this the kind of person where the answer to his motivation might be in seeking fame and glory and notoriety of some type? Since he didn't apparently want to die.
Correct. And also, and you already pointed it out, is that he had another shooting in mind. According to the police, he drove to Madison, Wisconsin, which isn't that far away, went to some outdoor event, obviously it's the 4th of July, had another weapon with him, and several rounds of ammunition, and decided for whatever reason not to launch that shooting. And then comes back, and then, as you pointed out, basically gives up. So they're, they tend not to do that. I mean, most of these mass shooters shoot themselves or make the police kill them. However, there is a percentage. Think Nicholas Cruz, Parkland. He commits a shooting, drops the weapon, and walks out with all these fleeing students trying to get away from the shooters, and is found a mile or two away from school walking on a road, and immediately gives up, and obviously he's going through the trial process.
So the problem is, you could, in theory, stop some of these from happening if there were no video games and no online communities, except then how do you do that? And since you can't really know whether somebody has a worldview where they go out in a blaze of glory or where they don't go out but they still get the glory, it's really hard, I guess, in advance to peg who is most at risk for committing an atrocity like this. So what do you do?
Well, yes and no. I mean, if you have all of the variables, and he had, obviously, several of them, but what's the caveat? That you would have every one of these variables, I think this is to your point, and not commit a mass shooting. And so it's a real difficult place for law enforcement to be. When they have information, when, let's say, for example, that Sunday night, Saturday morning of last weekend, the police heard through somebody who interacted with this kid online saying, hey, this kid's about to really go launch. We don't know exactly where, or we may generally know where it is. And they go and confront him. And maybe have justification to seize weapons, maybe have justification to arrest him. But, you know, that's not a system that's adequate, because you're at the mercy of people letting you know. Like happened in Richmond, Virginia in the last few days. They were called in advance, and they apparently stopped the mass shooting from occurring. So it's, you know, it's a tough place. If you banned violent video games, if you do nothing about the proliferation of weapons, and again, I want to be clear about this. I'm not talking about that, you know, that people shouldn't have weapons or access to weapons, because that's the history of this country. But if you're going to have, you know, 20 million plus AR-15 type weapons and more handguns than we have people, we're just going to have more violence. You know, no judgment here. It's just the reality.
All right, Brad, you are going to be hosting for 4 hours from 10 to 2 in for Gary and Shannon today and tomorrow. So we will finally have the benefit of your experience and your wisdom beyond these relatively short segments that we get together. And look forward to listening to you in about 2.5 hours here on KFI. Thank you.
Sounds great.
All right. Talking. Brad Garrett, he will be back at 10 in for Gary and Shannon. Let's get some news from Jennifer Jones-Lee, and then drug courts. Are they a failure? Yes. Is it their fault, though? Maybe not. This is KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeart app. Here's Jennifer Jones-Lee, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
A man's been held for allegedly posing as a cop to kidnap a boy he hit with his truck in Panorama City. Police say the man flashed a badge and told the boy to get in the truck yesterday morning. A witness followed them and called police. LAPD Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton says it was a close call.
Really don't think he had good intentions. I think this could have ended a very different way had our officers not located the individual.
Officers took him into custody in North Hills. The boy was treated at the hospital and is okay. A man's been arrested during a raid on an illegal weapons operation in Palmdale. LA County Sheriff's deputies got more than 90 illegal ghost guns with approximately 1,000 rounds of ammunition, high-capacity magazines, and narcotics last night. Authorities say the man they arrested is a convicted felon. The average price of a gallon of regular gas in LA County has dropped for the 23rd consecutive day, decreasing 2.8 cents to $6.24. The average price is 9.1 cents less than a week ago, but $1.90 more than it was a year ago. In OC, the average price has also decreased for the 23rd consecutive day, dropping 2.9 cents to $6.14 a gallon. Derek Chauvin will learn his sentence for federal civil rights violations in the murder of George Floyd. A plea deal is in place that will extend the former Minneapolis police officer's time behind bars while shifting him to possibly more favorable conditions in a federal prison. It calls for 20 to 25 years in prison, but the final decision is up to the judge. Here's SoCal weather from KFI. We've got a warming trend really starting today. So highs at the beaches will stay mild, just the low to mid 70s. We'll be in the upper 70s, low 80s for Metro LA and OC. But it's the warming trend inland that kicks in today with highs in the low to mid 90s. And those inland highs should hover around 100 for the whole weekend. Let's get a look at that drive. KFI in the sky, back to the 91.
Well, it's actually, good morning. Well, we have two enormous problems at the extremes of our living area here. First, leaving Corona, going to the east. Eastbound 91, we're open this right now. Eastbound 91 before Pierce, all lanes are shut down. It's a fatal crash investigation. Still has a long way to go. Again, we're just circling over this. The eastbound 91, it stops now, even before you get to the 15 at Main Street and building quickly. Now, westbound, all lanes have been open, but you know what's going on. Everybody comes to a halt to take a look. That backup is going through Tyler. Now, the big picture way around this is definitely, if you can get up to them, get to the E60, the 10, or the 210. In between now, the 57 and even east of the 15, they're all in pretty good shape. When you get off at the closure at Pierce Street, mind you have to deal with traffic signals, so it's just a mess here. The other big problem is going towards Santa Barbara, northbound 101 or Winchester. All lanes are shut down there. Terrible crash, and there's really no alternative. THB's trying to get people crossed by the right shoulder, so boy, massive delays all the way around. Jeff Baugh, KFI in the sky.
Our windows have a story to tell. Shouldn't yours?
My name's Aaron Dufresne. Jeff Parker and Chris Perez. I work for American Vision. When you see smiles on people's faces, enjoying what they're doing, that changes everything. Everybody's here to help and take care of our customers.
American Vision Windows is one of the most family-oriented companies I've ever worked for.
American Vision Windows continues to revolutionize the home improvement industry, one customer at a time, while changing the lives of our employees for the better.
Happy employees, happy customers.
They were efficient, they were courteous. In the installation, it was beautiful.
See the difference that new windows can make in your home.
Combine any two of these offers and save up to $2,200. Free expert installation, free upgrade to the Sun Matrix package, free sound package, no payments, no interest for 12 months. Choose any two and save. Call 888-226-9908. For all offers, call or see website for details. Offer expires 7/31/2022. CSLB number 778326.
Catch the vision. Catch the vision. American Vision Windows.
The Dodgers, fireworks, and 80s music. What more could you want? Come to Dodger Stadium on July 8th when the Cubs visit and stay for Friday Night Fireworks presented by California Pizza Kitchen. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Adjusting thermostats, signing up for eco-friendly rebates, all to create a clean energy California. And thanks to programs and incentives from SCE, we all have the power to ensure a clean energy future. Visit SCE.com/clean energy to learn more.
Mark your calendars. The Los Angeles Times brings you Eat, See, Hear, presented by Showtime. LA's traveling outdoor cinema series features delicious eats from local food trucks and live music performances. It's fun for the whole family. For dates and details, visit EatSeeHear.com.
KFI AM 640.
An iHeart radio station.
More stimulating talk. KFI AM 6:40 live everywhere on the iHeart app. This is the Bill Handel Show. Bill back from his vacation on Monday. Some of the top stories we're following for you. Boris Johnson says goodbye as the Prime Minister of the UK. He has resigned, although it's effective as soon as they replace him, either with a permanent replacement, which would require them to choose a new leader for the Conservative Party, or with some interim person, which it looks like they might do because they don't want him hanging around too much longer. You may have noticed over the last few weeks that people keep resigning from his administration because they don't want him to be prime minister anymore. These are people from his own administration and his own party, not his political enemies. And when it hit about 50 people stepping down, that's when I guess even Boris Johnson couldn't, fool himself anymore. Derek Chauvin's supposed to be sentenced today in his federal case arising from the murder of George Floyd. And Brittany Griner has apparently pled guilty in Russia to having that vape cartridge, so we're waiting to see how soon she will be sentenced and what that sentence will look like. And speaking of sentencing, drug courts. Drug courts were the new hot kid on the block some years ago. I would say 1990, 91. You want to be a little more precise, when here in California, it was up in Alameda County, we put into place the state's first and the nation's second drug court. Drug courts are part of a group of courts that they call collaborative justice courts. So they're special courts that deal with particular things. Drug court, of course, deals with drug offenders. Mental health courts, you have those. You have homeless courts. You have DUI courts. There are veterans courts. And the idea with a collaborative justice court is it's not as simple as somebody committed a crime and what do we do with them. It's usually somebody committed a crime and then either there's something about the crime or the person that requires a broader degree of intervention. In other words, you have to decide how much punishment they get, but you also need resources to help them. So drug courts are one of those things. And it started with the idea that people who get popped, and this is almost exclusively people popped with just possessing drugs, not selling them. That people who get popped possessing drugs they have a medical problem. They have a health problem. They're not so much criminals as they are people who have a medical problem, the expression of which has been made a crime. And so the idea is we don't want to just toss them in jail. We want to help them. And so the way drug court usually work is you get accepted into the program, you do plead guilty, and then it's kind of like a diversion, except you've admitted that you're guilty. And then you have to adhere to certain requirements for a specified period of time, including usually treatment. A lot of times there's job training that you have to do. If you get through that program, you graduate from that program, and the criminal charge is dismissed. So it's a longer, more involved version of going to traffic school, and that way you don't get the points on your driving record. And so it started back in 91, grew pretty quickly. 6 or 7 years later, there were drug courts in 34 counties here in California, and the state was spending about $4 million a year, which isn't that a quaint number? I mean, it was all the way back in 1998 and maybe in 1998. $4 million was formidable, but from today's perspective, to hear that they were spending $4 million a year in California on drug courts seems almost cute. Anyway, they grew, they were being used, and research shows that they work. Nothing works 100%, but recidivism went down after drug courts were implemented. Great. It's almost like, hey, we found not really a full solution, but we found a really good optimum way of dealing with a particular problem. Yes, maybe we can worry about other things. And then comes Prop 47. In 2014, California voted yes Prop 47. And what did Prop 47 do, amongst other things? Prop 47 reduced significantly the potential penalties for drug possession. Y'all voted for it, and that's what it did. And I don't know if anybody was thinking about how that would affect the use of the drug courts, but what happened is use of the drug courts cratered. Between 2014 and 2018, participation in drug courts down 67%. Why? Because if you're worried that you could even go to prison, not county jail, you might be motivated to go to a drug court program and behave yourself during your time there. But if really all you're looking at is a little bit of time in county jail, if your crime is just going to be a misdemeanor, and if also you know that jails are releasing people very early because of overcrowding, well, you do a different calculus in your head, and suddenly you don't want to go through the hassle of all that drug court stuff and people in your face and having to test, report to people. I'll just do my time because it's not that bad. And that's what started to happen. People would say, drug court or just plead guilty and take my lumps. They took their lumps. And so participation continued to decline. And depending on what county you're in California, drug court use is down as much as 85 to 90%, meaning we're not getting any of the benefits, really, as a society of these drug courts because almost nobody's going into them. So what they did up in Yolo County, they had their participation go down by, I think, 85, 86%. And so what they said is, all right, we're not going to send anybody to drug court. We're not going to have drug court. We're just going to take people who are caught with drugs and we're going to send them right to the county health department. We're going to see what happens if we treat drug use as purely a health problem. A lot of people, they like that idea. It's not a criminal problem. It's a health problem. So they did it. And guess what happened? Almost nobody did what they were supposed to do. Less than 12% of the people that they sent over to the Health and Human Services Agency, less than 12 of them even answered the initial phone call to get things going. And so guess what they're doing back in Yolo County? Drug court is back. They're calling it Drug Court 2.0. And one of the things they've added is when you're there in the courtroom, you have to meet with somebody from the county health department right there before you can leave. And they hope possibly this will improve compliance with this thing. So that didn't work out too well, did it? Hey, let's get some news from Jennifer Jones-Lee. And then, I cannot believe this, the bullet train, by the way, which is still 100% a live, expensive project, is getting an inspector general. I know. You mean now they're getting one? Yeah, I'll tell you what that person may or may not be able to do. It's Kfi Am 640, live everywhere on the iHeart app. And here's Jennifer Jones-Lee, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
I just want to know if his card actually says Bullet Train Czar on it.
They're not a czar.
Dang it.
They're an inspector general.
Fine.
No, Jen, an IG is better than a czar.
But he has to lead
Dungeons
us.
and Dragons it is.
All right, that's one way of looking at it. Apple is a new feature for iPhones. It's called Lockdown Mode. It's intended for high-profile users like politicians and activists who may be targeted by state-sponsored hackers. A new report shows police in Uvalde, Texas, had 3 chances to stop a shooter before he entered an elementary school and killed 19 children and 2 teachers. And reports out of Japan today say the creator of the popular comic series Yu-Gi-Oh! Has died. A Japanese public broadcaster said 60-year-old Kazuki Takahashi was found dead in the ocean wearing his snorkeling gear. From the Driveway.com Weather Center, we've got a sunny day ahead and warm with highs from the low 70s at the beaches to the mid-90s inland. This report is brought to you by Amtrak. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. Back to the 91 we go.
All right, some really severe delays. I just want to give you a heads up. It's going to last for a while. It's going through Corona. Eastbound 91 before Pierce. All lanes are shut down. You must exit at Pierce. Fatal crash investigation is going to take forever. You know what happens. East 91 before Maine is the backup now. That's a long way. Simply put, the E60, the 10, or the 210, all good, still good. In between the 57, all the way up to the 15. Now, as I speak to you, we're circling over the San Bernardino freeway around Vincent. CHP's running a... Oh, I see what's going on here. The carpool lane's blocked. CHP's running a break. In other words, stopping everybody. It's getting slow coming away from Azusa. More on this one coming up. Jeff, KFI in the sky.
Avoid the hassles of travel when you ride Amtrak. Long lines? Nope. Airplane mode? Forget about it. Middle seats? Never heard of them. Get to your destination the relaxing and easy way. Stress-free summer. Just an Amtrak away. Book now at Amtrak.com.
This report is sponsored by personal injury firm Owen, Patterson & Owen.
Not all lawyers make it personal, but we do. I'm Susan Owen, mother of 6, wife of 23 years, and managing partner at personal injury law firm Owen, Patterson & Owen. If you've been injured, I'd be honored to represent you. OPOlaw.com.
The Dodgers, fireworks, and 80s music. What more could you want? Come to Dodger Stadium on July 8th when the Cubs visit and stay for Friday Night Fireworks presented by California Pizza Kitchen. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
I just love me a summer vacation, or staycation, or playcation. Call it whatever you want, because I can do all three right here in Morongo. And now, the top 5 reasons to visit Morongo. Number 5.
Cool down at the hottest pool party under the stars. DJs, drink specials. It's Flamingo Fridays at Oasis Pool.
Number 4.
Snack car giveaway. Get a poppin' popcorn maker when you earn 500 points on your rewards card. The 11th or 12th.
3.
Morris Day Live. Saturday, July 9th. Get your tickets now.
And the number 2.
Every half hour, 2 lucky players will win $500 cash playing table games with their rewards cards. Wednesday and Thursdays, noon to 10 p.m.
And the number 1 reason.
The reviews are in, and the new all-you-can-eat marketplace is absolutely delicious. You gotta go.
Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Morongo. Good times!
Are you planning on selling your home? Hey, it's Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer. Can I give you some important advice? Don't throw away your home's true money-making power by settling for one of those quick cash deals or selling as is. Settling is not what we do with our most valuable asset, and it could cost you tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Instead of settling, talk to the good folks at Revive Real Estate. Revive has a revolutionary renovate before listing program that maximizes the value of your home, but takes the stress out of pre-sale renovations. It's quick, it's easy, it's zero out of pocket, and on average, home sellers like you gain an additional $200,000. Let me say that again. On average, sellers gain an additional $200,000 in profit when they use Revive. There is a right way and a wrong way to sell your home. The wrong way is to settle. The right way is to talk to Revive. Get all the value out of selling your home at revive.realestate. That's revive.realestate.
Make this the year you go to our iHeartRadio Music Festival.
iHeartRadio, let's go!
Friday, September 23rd and Saturday the 24th.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
Buy your tickets now at AXS.com. Having the time of your life is more rewarding than ever when you visit any of the MGM resorts nationwide. With MGM Rewards, dine, stay, play, and earn on all of it. Get details at MGMRewards.com. Subject to warning and redemption limitations applicable to certain purchases and in certain states.
Go on Instagram at Conway Show.
Would you put a video of me smelling your bag?
Oh, was that okay?
No, I guess not. I want to smell Bellio's bag.
Hey, Carl!
Oh, no, not again! But it does smell like genuine leather. It's a high-end bag.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show.
And I know, because the schnoz knows I can pick out a fake.
Weeknights at 6 on KFI.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeart app. Bill Handel's show. Bill back from vacation on Monday. And one of the top stories that we are following for you is WNBA's Brittany Griner has apparently pled guilty in Russia to possessing that vape cartridge. and that she said she acted unintentionally. She was packing in haste and didn't mean on purpose to put it in her luggage. She was supposed to use an interpreter to communicate with the court. She didn't actually consent over that. So now what we're waiting for is, do they sentence her right away? That's the first question. Or do they put it off, go through a whole other round of court hearings about what should happen to her? And when they do ultimately sentence her, do they slam her? Do they let her go with time served as some sort of a gesture to the world? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we won't have to wait that long. I know Jennifer Jones-Lee is paying careful attention to this, so the moment anything about a sentence for Brittany Griner comes across, we will have it for you. Well, we got a new sheriff in town. Okay, it's not a sheriff, and it's not a town. It's an inspector general, and it's the state of California, and this all has to do with this cockamamie bullet train, which I think this is adorable that many media sources are still calling it a $105 billion railroad project. There's no way you're getting a bullet train from LA to San Francisco for $105 billion. That's never happened. I don't know if we're ever getting a bullet train from LA to San Francisco at any cost. And as we already know, even if we do get a bullet train from LA to San Francisco at any cost, we're not getting a bullet train from LA to San Francisco because parts of that route won't be bullet. They'll be regular, boring trains. But in any event, I don't think I need to harangue you too much about the long, tortured history of this bullet train project. This has been going on for a decade now. And we still don't have any completed segment of it. So it's been plagued with problems right from the get-go. And it's every kind of problem. Not one problem like, hey, this is going to cost more than we thought. Scheduling problems, technical problems, regulation problems, problems with the personnel, legal problems, lawsuits, everything, almost everything about it had a problem. And it's looking like there was one group that saw all of this coming and that spoke the truth way back in 2012. The Legislative Analyst Office said, do not appropriate any money to start building this thing because this California High-Speed Rail Authority, they're not ready. And if you start trying to build something now, it's going to be a debacle. Don't do it. And Jerry Brown was the governor then, and he's like, I don't care what you say. Come on, guys in Sacramento, give them the money to start building this thing. And he won, and we lost. And it looks like the Legislative Analyst Office was correct. And anyone can tell you that job one, if you're going to do a project like this, this is not even widening the 405. And that was an amazingly complicated project. This is many magnitudes more complicated than that. If you're going to embark on something like this, you must have a financing plan in place for this project. You can't say, well, we'll start with a little bit of money and get going, and then we'll figure out how to pay to finish it. You can't do it. But they did it. And in fact, I don't think they have a proper, complete, secure financing plan right now, as I'm speaking to you, July 7th, 2022. But they're still trying to do it. So, what do you do when you've started something and it is not working out, that you just can't bring yourself or won't bring yourself to stop it, to put a stop to it? What do? You do a Band-Aid, basically, which is what this might be. Although, if I sound cynical about it, wait, because there is a ray of hope here. What do? You appoint an inspector general just for the high-speed rail project. Wow. You'd kind of think there would already have been, right at the beginning, some office that had full oversight over such a project, but apparently not. In fact, Helen Kirstein is on the Legislative Analyst Office staff. Hello, the people who were right. And she's also kind of an expert on what's going on with this bullet train project. And she said, this is a level of oversight we have never had before. Wow, 10 years later, finally. Here's what this Inspector General will have. Full access to every record in the project. Everything. All the paperwork, all the communications, the whole thing. The authority to review contracts. The authority, this is kind of a big one, the authority to change orders. And they can subpoena witnesses and records. And